Call the meeting to order. Let the record show this is a regular city council meeting held on Monday, October 17th. All members of council are present with the exception of Councilwoman Hersey, who is traveling on business, and the press has been duly notified. Would everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council is going to remain standing for a moment of silence. You're welcome to join us if you'd like. Thank you very much. Item number 1 on our agenda is a proclamation of achievement. Council is honored occasionally by being notified of Eagle Scouts that are receive their young men who receive their rank of Eagle in the city of Tega. We always enjoy recognizing them because it's a tremendous accomplishment. If you go and you look on Eagle Scouts and who is an Eagle Scout, you will see presidents of the United States, senators, congressmen, governors, captains of business, and a lot of other people doing great things as far as the Eagle Scout. It came to my attention about a year ago at Troop 250's anniversary that there's 102 Eagle Scouts who have been put through the system in Tega. And that has been done by one gentleman, I'm sure with a lot of others, and that is Luther Dasher. So Luther, would you please come forward? By the way, Luther is here because I lied to him. I told him that he was coming here for an RFATS meeting, which, by the way, Luther is also a member of the Citizens Advisory Committee for RFATS. Proclamation recognizing Luther Dasher. Whereas the Boy Scouts of America is an organization that provides a program for young people that builds character, fitness, and citizenship. Whereas the Boy Scouts of America conserves the moral intellect and physical life of the coming generation. Whereas Boy Scouts must pass certain tests of qualification, thereby passing these various tests as recognized by the award of appropriate badge and medals and insignia. Whereas 2 million young people have achieved the Boy Scout highest rank of Eagle Scout since the award was first awarded in 1912. Whereas in Baylor University study, Eagle Scouts are more likely to be goal-oriented in leadership positions, have closer relationships with family and friends, volunteer more often, donate to charities more often, and work to improve their neighborhoods. And whereas by personal example, Luther Dasher commands excellence by exemplifying the leadership, integrity, and strong values. And whereas Luther Dasher has overseen Eagle Scout projects of over 100 Boy Scouts, a most memorable feat. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Mayor of Tega, we recognize Luther Dasher's countless hours of dedication and commitment to the Boy Scouts' highest rank of achievement, Eagle Scout rank. And today we honor his unmatched contribution to the community and the legacy he has built. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Now, let's take our picture. You're welcome to if you want.
I don't know what to say other than total surprise and shock. Thank you very much. Thanks all of you guys. This is the best program that they've got for Scouts, and I'm very proud of all of the guys that I've helped get their Eagle, successfully get their Eagle Award, because as far as I'm concerned, they're all my sons too, because I'm as proud of them as their parents are, because I know their parents are very proud of them, but this is a total surprise, and thank you all very much.
Luther. This one wasn't a lie that I participated in, but it's also a lie. On Monday, September 26th, the golfer suffered a heart attack on the number 7 of the Cove. Two of his friends, who were visiting from Chicago, called for help. Lewis Holland, assistant superintendent of the Cove for the Tega Golf Club, rushed over to assist. Upon finding the golfer unresponsive, he immediately began CPR and continued to apply resuscitation efforts until the medics arrived. Lewis Holland, we want to recognize you for going above and beyond your normal duties. We applaud your commitment to learning and using lifelong skills of resuscitation. It is the young people like you who make the future promising and who will continue to contribute much to our society. You are truly a source of pride in this community. Please come up and accept this certificate on behalf of myself and the city of Tega. Next on the agenda is to swear in James Dennis Jr., who is our assistant municipal judge. How are you, sir? If you'd like to read that, you're welcome to. You heard it, looked over it, it's good? You're good? So you'll know if I'll make mistakes or something?
Definitely, I'll check this.
Yeah, all right. Would you raise your right hand and repeat after me? I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I am duly qualified,
that I am duly qualified,
according to the Constitution of this state,
according to the Constitution of this state,
to exercise the duties
to exercise the duties
of the office
of the office
of which I've been appointed,
of which I've been appointed,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge the duties thereof,
discharge the duties thereof,
and preserve, protect,
protect,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution of this state
the Constitution of this state
and of the United States.
and of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Thank you. If you would, sign that, give that to Charlie, and sign that, and you can keep that copy for yourself. Thank you. Thank you. Next on the agenda is a swearing in of a firefighter 2, EMT certified, Robert C. Paddock, Jr. He's already been pressed into service. We had an episode over at Rundy Field recently, and he was there, and he helped to revive a 2-year-old who was having a seizure. And I think it was last night or the night before, you were over at Wellmore? Yesterday morning, you were over at Wellmore and helped someone over there bring them back to the land of the living. So he's been pressed into service already. The guys who are the firefighters and the EMTs of this city do a tremendous job, and we can't thank them enough. But, you know, you're not even sworn in yet, and we got you working. Good, get used to it. Would you do me a favor and raise your right hand? Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I am duly qualified,
that I am duly qualified,
according to the Constitution of this state,
according to the Constitution of this state,
to exercise the duties
to exercise the duties
of which I've been appointed,
for which I've been appointed,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge the duties thereof,
discharge the duties thereof,
and preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of this state
the Constitution of this state
and of the United States.
and the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you very much. Item number 2 on the agenda is public comments. We have 2 people who have signed up for public comments. One is Tom Remy. Tom, if you'd step to the microphone, state your name and address.
Thomas R. Remy. I live at 970 Cove Point Lane, and I have lived there for 34 years. And I'm here in reaction to a DHEC proposal on raising the lake in the summertime. And I think each one of y'all have one of these. And I don't know that you can do anything about, they want to raise Lake James, Lake Norman, and Lake Wiley by 6 inches. I usually have to rebuild my wall 2 or 3 times a year because I live 5 lots back in the cove from Nevins Creek, and yet too many boaters and fishermen come back there. They get to the back of the cove, come out of there, and tear your dock up and rock walls down, plus create the erosion. This is going to create even a bigger problem, and I would like, possibly, I don't think, when certain agencies like this get going, you can't do much with them, but I sure would appreciate y'all considering going to DNR and the coves that you can't water ski in is to put no weight buoys out there. That does help. We've had them out before, but I'm also waiting on a repair person right now because of my floater, which is connected to my big dock, where it's connected is just tore the connection up. I've got to have that reinforced just because of and I had DNR out one time, and they actually came to my dock and said nobody should come by here other than at idle speed. And of course, I don't know where you're going to be in your but right now when they have it low, even at 3 feet below full pond during the summer, we still have some issues because boaters just do not obey the laws. And I'd appreciate y'all some consideration or help to maybe at least get DNR to put the no wake buoys out on the lots that cannot be skied in that way, or where it meets DNR rules and regulations, which means you got 50 feet either side of a dock or a person that they're supposed to be coming in at idle speed. And I haven't had a chance to write, the gentleman there in Columbia, Rusty Winterick, but I'm going to be writing him a letter, and I might, give y'all a copy and ask y'all I don't know if you can get them to do anything or not, but I agree with reducing the cubic feet per minute or second, whatever it is, and some of the other things, but Lake James is basically undeveloped, and I used to own some property at Lake Norman, I've never seen it full, or even close to full. But anyway, appreciate y'all's time, and I will be following up on this, get y'all each a copy of, my response to them.
Okay.
I didn't know if Mike get a comment from Charlie or.
Thank you, Tom. Charlie, we've investigated this before last summer, and could you just, give us a synopsis of what happened last summer and what the outcome was so that we're all aware?
SCDNR came in last summer, did a study of the coves. They actually did put out some buoys, but it was right at Nevins Creek and adjacent in proximity to the landing, the boat launch. Due to a very shallow area. No, I'm sorry. That one was no wake due to the boat launch. They put buoys in down in Torrance Creek because of the sandbar that's back in there. Years ago, back when I first started here 16 years ago, we did have buoys out. Those were buoys that the city had put out. SCDNR came in and pulled them all out and said we were not allowed to put them in. And they have determined through their study last year that they were not going to put any other buoys out other than the ones that they put out. And they have prohibited us from putting any of ours out. They have signs. We had them for a while, for several years. Nobody wanted them, so we ended up giving them back to SCDNR, but it's basically like a street sign type thing that you can attach to your dock. that basically states what the law is, that it's a no-wake area. You got to, the 50-foot rule, the whole bit. Most people say, well, that's silly for me to put that on my dock. Nobody in a boat can see it, which I don't disagree with, but DNR is not going to allow buoys, allow us to put buoys out, and they have determined that the coves around here, at least through their study last summer, they determined that the only buoys that were needed out were the ones that they had put out off of Torrance and Nevins.
Is it possible for us to ask SCDNR to come back and restudy it, take another look at it? We're getting complaints,
Sure.
saying that his dock is being,
They
damaged
typically do those
because of that.
studies, if I recall correctly, I think May to July. But yeah, we can reach back out.
At least get on their list
Sure.
to take a peek at it. Okay.
I appreciate it. That additional 6 inches of water in that lake is going to create a lot of erosion. So
Okay.
thank you all very much.
Thanks, Tom. Janet Harris.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Janet Harris. I reside at 1419 Finsbury Lane in Tega. I wanted to respectfully request the consideration of a public service announcement to ask folks on Halloween to not wear clown costumes. Because the Charlotte Observer ran a story September 16th about clown sightings around the Greenville, South Carolina area. And if we have it out to our community to just please skip the clown costume, if somebody sees one, certainly on an adult, it would make it a lot more easy to maybe prevent a crime from happening.
Okay.
Just to consider it. It's just a point I brought up with Sylvia Szymanski just a little while ago. So that was all I wanted to say.
All right, great. Thank you. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you. Are there any other public comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 3 is the approval of minutes. Council, we have the minutes that were sent to us, and then I believe Councilwoman Stalford had a correction in there in regards to the using of null vinyl siding. I believe our council minutes reflected hardy plank, but actually it should have been no vinyl siding. So those minutes are sitting at your desk right in front of you there. Are there any questions or deletions to those minutes? Hearing none, those minutes stand approved. Item number 4 on the agenda is unfinished business, which is the second reading of an ordinance to amend the ordinance 489 fiscal year 2015-16 general fund budget. City Manager Charlie Funderburk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. As the mayor stated, before you tonight is second reading of an ordinance to amend ordinance 489, which is our 2015-2016 general fund budget. Council has already given a favorable first read on this, and before you consider a second read, I do want to point out, tomorrow you will get our year-end financial statements, obviously unaudited. Our auditors will be in first week of December. But based on our unaudited numbers, we have already surpassed what you're doing second read on. Each of the departments you'll see on your financials came in under the amended amount. Revenues came in higher than the amended amount, and your general fund reserve is going to go from, I believe it shows as 135 in the document tonight to 256. Again,
That's a tough problem to have.
yeah. As we do budgets, I mean, it is as calculated a guess as we can, ahead of the budget. And as we go through the budget, we try to make an amendment, but you can see it's a moving target every week. But the budget did perform very, very well. We're now into our new budget year, but did want to point that out before council had any discussion or consideration of the second read. So,
Thank you, Charlie. Council, entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, motion to approve the second reading of an ordinance to amend ordinance 489 fiscal year 2015-16 general fund budget.
I have a motion by Jen Stalford. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ryan Richard. Any council discussion? There being none, call the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Item number 5A on the agenda is a discussion regarding the painting of the water tower expense. City Manager Charlie Funderburk.
thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This is on the agenda tonight, kind of as a follow-up to a conversation we had during the budget workshop. Philip Jolly has met with a couple of contractors. We've gotten some financing options available to us if council wishes to proceed forward. As you'll see in your packet, and I believe this information was also included online on the city's website, the first contractor would only submit a quote on option one, which would be to paint the entire water tower right outside here. And they would finance it for us. It's basically for about 6 years is what they would do. It's $52,000 and change for the first 5 years, and then almost $12,000 for the last year. Contractor number two gave us two options after looking at the tank. One would be $250,000 to repaint the entire thing, or the bottom part, which is really where you've got most of the paint that is flaking off. Come in, pressure wash it, sand it down, spot paint, and then do an overcoat for $6,000. Option two is probably going to last you probably 3 to 5 years. Both option ones would last 25 to 30 years. So again, bringing these prices back to council for any discussion, any additional questions you may have. Neither option is required. At this point, when you're looking at painting a water tank, the area you're most concerned with is obviously the storage part up above, because that's what's in contact with the water and things of that nature. The inside of the tank has been inspected, is in great condition, so we don't have any water quality issues or anything else. It's purely an aesthetics thing at this point. Now, it will need to be repainted at some point, but if you were to ask me, does it have to be done now? It doesn't. So again, I bring this information to council for any further discussion that y'all would like to have or any possible direction.
So actually, what you're telling us, it would cost $250,000 for us to repaint the water tank, if we wanted to. But previously, you just told us that we had an overage in our budget of $121,000, right? I understand, but that's gonna still go in reserves, correct?
Correct.
All right, so that would mean it would only really cost us unbudgeted $129,000, right?
Okay.
Right.
I mean, without doing the math.
What does council feel about the water tower? Do we think it needs to be, I think spending the $6,000 is just putting a Band-Aid on something that we're gonna have to replace anyway. So we're just gonna spend the $6,000 for 2 or 3 years. And then we're gonna have to do it again anyway. Or we could do it the whole thing now and spend the $250,000 and get it done for how long?
25 to 30
25,
years.
30 years. But we have $121,000 of that already because it came in under the reserves. I'm just throwing
What's
it
the
out
3
there.
to 5 year number? Because I mean, it's the same contractor, they're gonna use the same type of paint. So is that just the estimate on the rest of it starting to chip in 3 to 5 years? 'Cause-
No, they're saying that the paint and whatnot that they would apply just to the base, it's gonna last about 3 to 5 years. Now,
But the paint they apply to the rest is gonna last 25 years?
no, they would, the 25 to 30 years, they would strip the entire thing down to bare metal, sandblast, and then it's a 3-step coating process. This, they would just basically repair what's chipped and then just do an overcoat of the rest of the base. So it's not as thorough, it would just clean it up, so to speak.
Is there an
So
option for them to completely strip that bottom part that's flaking?
we
And
didn't.
do it the right way for, say, 10,000 instead of?
We didn't, we just asked them for, paint the whole thing, or what would it cost to just clean up the base. We didn't ask them as far as stripping down the base and things like that. Staff's, if, staff has talked about this a good bit, staff's recommendation is to leave it alone right now. We've got several projects. General fund has loaned money to Tega for the fire hydrant project, which is about to get started. We've got SRF loans that are coming up, things of that nature. I think in probably 2 to 3 years, this is probably a nugget that utility department could tackle in and of itself without having to mess with general fund. But again, that's just staff's vantage point looking at it. We'll obviously follow whichever direction council wants to go with it.
Well, I like that idea the staff is talking about, but I was looking at, well, it says the tank was last washed and coated in 2006, so it actually lasted us about 10 years. How is that
Well,
different from
keep
what
in
they're
mind,
gonna be doing?
that was what Utilities Inc. paid for, not us. Utilities Inc. just did a patchwork job on it in 2006.
Okay.
And they used the contract, basically they got what they paid for, which was very little.
Well, it's been 10 years, so why is this one only gonna be lasting us 3 to 5 years? That's what I'm
It's
trying
just
to
for the
get at.
base. They did the entire thing with, they didn't strip it down to bare metal. They did not put the right type of paint on it, and it's not lasted. I mean, it's been chipping and peeling for quite some time now. This would at least clean up the base and get it looking presentable. Now, it could very well last longer than 3 to 5 years. They're only guaranteeing it for the 3 to 5. Now, we could get fortunate and get 10 years out of it, but the same guy that quoted that was the one that did it for Utilities Inc., and he said they were nickel and diming him all the way down to where they didn't even want to pay for the right type of paint to go on it. So they got what they paid for.
David?
Well, there's got to be more paint contractors than that. I mean, why can't we get the right paint contractor doing the right kind of job?
Both of these can absolutely do it. The second guy was the one that built and painted our other water tank. And he did exactly on this tank what Utilities Inc. paid him to do, which was not much of anything.
I mean, Ryan and I just went out and looked at it. The rest of the tank looks marvelous. I mean, it looks great. Just the base is rusty. It's got rust marks from stains. It's got chipping just on one side by the trees. And
Right.
that looks like, that's the only part that really needs it. The rest of the tank looks fantastic. So, I don't know. I don't see paying all that money to do the rest of the tank that looks fine. It's just like when I get my car done, it just, they don't do the whole car. They just do just that fender that's all messed up. So I was thinking, let's just do the fender. It makes the whole rest of the car look fine.
We can absolutely go with just the base option if that's what,
But
just
not
doing
for 3 years.
fixing the
I mean, it
base.
seems like they ought to do it
Yeah, I'd say
right.
do it the right way.
Do it the
on
right
base.
way on the base.
That's, okay. We can
Well,
definitely have it.
That's what, naturally, it's more than just.
Make a motion.
I mean, the contractor that I'm referring to on that one is the guru on water tanks in the state of South Carolina. Most cities buy their tanks and have him paint them for him. I mean, he is top notch, no doubt about it. So, I mean, we only asked him for patchwork, similar to what Utilities Inc. had requested. What's the bare minimum just to clean up where it's flaky? I mean, we can go back to him and say, give us a quote on stripping the thing down, the base cone down, and, doing the 3-coat system on it. I would imagine, you're probably in that 15 to 20 range, maybe less. I don't know. But we can absolutely quote it that way and bring it back in November, if that's what council wants to do.
Let's go that route.
Let's go that route. Let's
Bring it back in November with the guy coming back, telling us exactly what needs to be done, doing the
Just
correct
on the
way.
cone.
Doing the
Okay.
Just
correct
on the
way
cone
base.
part.
That's fine.
If it costs us more, that's fine. Well, it's not
Let's do it
fine,
right
we'll
on
have
the
to deal with it,
base.
but let's, I guess, let's do it right, because,
Okay.
all right?
Yep.
Does that work for everyone else?
Works for me.
Perfect. Item number 5B on the agenda is a resolution to lease the purchase of the fleet vehicles. City Manager Charlie Funderburk.
Sir, the following items were presented as part of the budget workshop in regards to the purchase of equipment for various departments. In the resolution that Sylvia printed off and put before you, you will see that South State Bank was our low bidder at 1.5, I think it was 1.556% on the interest rate. This will be to purchase 2 trucks for our utility department, upgrade to the SCADA system in our utility department, 4 vehicles in PD, and 1 truck in Public Works, in an amount not to exceed $275,000.
The document that we have here has 1.554. Is that,
That is correct,
Okay.
yes, sir.
council entertain a motion?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, a motion to approve the resolution to lease, purchase fleet vehicles and equipment in the amount not to exceed $275,000. Do you want me to put the interest rate in there? Okay. And authorize the city manager to proceed forward with executing all necessary documents.
I have a motion by Jen Stalford. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by David O'Neill. Any council discussion? There being none, call the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Item number 5C on the agenda is the resolution for the lease purchase golf course capital items. City Manager Charlie Funderburk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This resolution, if you'll recall, during when the golf course presented their annual budget to council, Number of capital items were discussed. I've got those on the screen now, but it's irrigation on the cove, cart path repairs in various areas around the course, replacement of the irrigation pump, replace green covers on the cove, and we have bid that out successfully, and would seek council's approval on this resolution in the amount of $237,000.
Charlie, what's the difference in the interest rate? One's 1.554 and the other one's 2.7.
On one, you've got tangible items. So if the city were to default, they could come and collect the things that we were purchasing. With this one, the bank's not going to come up and dig out asphalt and irrigation and things of that nature. So when they're looking at something that's more of a vehicles, golf carts, equipment, things of that nature, we're finding we get a much better interest rate. But for things that aren't removable, I guess, for the lack of a better term, it's a little bit higher interest rate. Once we got the interest rates in, we did circle back around with our golf management folks. We were able to get it for 8 years instead of just 4. So they are able to work with the payments within the budget that they presented to council back in August.
Okay. Council, entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution to lease purchase golf course capital items in the amount of $237,000 and authorize the city manager to move forward with executing all necessary documents.
I have a motion by David O'Neill. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ryan Richard. Any council discussion? There being none, call the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Item number 6 on the agenda is the city manager's report. Charlie Funderburk.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'll try to be brief here. South Carolina Emergency Response Team issued a call for assistance with regards to Hurricane Matthew recovery efforts. Like to let everybody know that 2 of our firefighters, firefighter Kyle Dowdle and Lieutenant Will Blackwelder, are on standby and waiting further instructions. Head down to the Conway area for a few days to assist with recovery efforts. Obviously, the local crews and public safety have been working around the clock, both during and since Hurricane Matthew, and we'd like to thank both of those gentlemen for volunteering, and we're glad that our city didn't suffer the way the coast did. Our National Night Out was very well attended. I'd like to give a special thanks to Sergeant Rob Burns from TCPD and the rest of the TCPD staff, as well as our TK Fire Department staff for their efforts during that event. Great crowd out there, and everybody seemed to really enjoy the interaction with our public safety folks. For those that are not aware, and I know council is, but we have a Dairy Queen coming to TGK. They will have a groundbreaking ceremony next Wednesday, October 26th at noon. Council, if you have not responded back on the RSVP but are planning on going, if you want to let Sylvia know, she can send an email to them just for head count for our end of things. But for those that are playing along at home, it will be directly across 160 from Wellmore. You've probably seen some of the pines that have started to be cleared out there near Terra Plantation. It's where the Dairy Queen Grill and Chill will be installed. So looking forward to them getting going. Our third Citizens Academy will begin this Thursday. We've only got 18 people that are registered this time. I think the previous 2 times we had 30, 32 people. So we're kicking around the idea of maybe instead of doing it twice a year, just doing it annually, doing it once a year to see if we can really fill the class up. But we do have 18 that are signed up now. It'll begin again this Thursday will be the first night, and actually the calendar works out. That class will be graduating at your November council meeting. So looking forward to getting that started. Fall Festival is right around the corner. Will be held October 29th in the parking lot right out here at the Glennon Center. We are at capacity on vendors. The kids' amusement stuff is free, and we got a great band and other entertainment that'll be on stage, so hopefully everybody can make it out that Saturday. We are working on trying to get things rescheduled with SEDNR on the public forum regarding coyotes. We're targeting the first part of November, but as soon as we can get that date nailed down, obviously we'll let council know and then publicize it to the general public so they're aware. Let's see. Last 2 things on my list. TGK Drive, getting lots of calls. I know some of y'all have gotten calls. People think that it's not being resurfaced, it's only being patched. You added curb and gutter, but there's no additional storm drains, things of that nature. The entire thing is going to be resurfaced. They're doing full depth patching in the worst areas now. The curb and gutter stuff is pretty much done at this point. It will funnel the surface water into the storm drains, which is the other part of the project that DOT is tackling, where they are enhancing the outfalls, clearing the inlets so that water can get into them, and replacing a good bit of pipe. For those that came past Molokai and TGK Drive over the last couple of weeks, you saw a lot of that was torn up. That pipe was crushed, so they've got new pipe in there, things of that nature. So they're enhancing, improving the storm drainage there to where it works the way that it's supposed to. Probably right after Halloween is when they're going to start milling. And they're going to mill from City Hall all the way up to the fire station on both sides and resurface. There are some areas where the curb or the gutter looks like it's higher than what the asphalt is. The asphalt will be higher than the gutter once they finish with the resurfacing and everything to keep the water in the gutter. So the entire road is getting resurfaced. They had to go back and put the paint lines down. Those are temporary, just so people knew which side of the road they were supposed to be on. So it has been quite a process, but it's been 25 or so years since it's been last redone. So knock on wood, hopefully we're not doing this again for another 25 years or asking DOT to do this for another 25 years. So that project is moving along quite nicely. While I'm touching on roads, Hubert Graham Way, y'all seen they've started putting stone base down. The contractor's doing an amazing job there, really kind of ahead of schedule, which is great. Probably in the next few weeks, you'll start seeing first base course of asphalt going down. They do have the girders installed on the bridge. Hopefully before Thanksgiving, they'll get the bridge deck poured and down. So they're moving right along there, and we're looking forward to getting Hubert Graham Way open. And the last thing I have is on Friday, November 11th, City offices will be closed for Veterans Day, and on November 8th, don't forget to vote. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Charlie. Brian, do you have anything for Charlie?
I know.
Jen?
Yes. Charlie, speaking about the roads, two residents made some suggestions at the last council meeting during public comments. Ms. Golaski was about the barriers, and then Ms. Masters was regarding bike/golf. And I know that you mentioned that you would be able to have those kind of conversations, but it's actually now stirred up more people asking when would those actually occur, and I really don't know, because now that we've got the road already being redone like you just described, how soon would those kinds of conversations be occurring?
I really don't have a good answer for that. I mean, to be quite honest with you. Let me circle back around with you, because I did put some feelers out to some of my SCDOT contacts. Let me circle back around with them just to see if they've even kicked it around yet and started internally having any kind of thoughts on it. Let me, if I can, I'll be glad to circle back around this week and get an email back to all of council on it.
Okay, that'd be great. And then, Mr. Morgan, I know that you already updated all of us, and I'm sure you also relayed that to Mr. Morgan regarding
Correct.
the silt around Point Clear.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's because I live around there, I've actually had a lot of residents ask, well, what is going on with that? So if you want to share that with everyone.
We, after the email that I sent to council, and I did send the email to or Dr. Morgan, I think it is, I've not gotten any response back from him whatsoever. We've got permit ready as soon as he submits the documentation, but he still has to get his dredging permit from Duke Energy, which to my knowledge, he doesn't have yet at this point. So we've given him the green light as far as we can, but can't give him a final until he brings back the necessary documents from Duke Energy.
Thank you, Charlie.
Yes, ma'am.
And as for Hubert Graham Parkway, it is having a street light, a traffic light, which will be put in when necessary. I mean, when I'm sure when the street is open. But Hubert Graham Parkway is having street lights, meaning illumination, right? And
We,
was it at this
there-
form we talked about it?
You've
or-
got it, you've got streetlights on the Stonecrest Boulevard end, coming up to the bridge. Tim Gillette is having conversations with York Electric as far as additional streetlights coming this way. Biggest concern that we're trying to work around is that's the section where it's behind residential homes, Lakeland Trail and parts of Hunter's Run. Obviously, some of the Hunter's Run folks had issues with the parking lot lights at the elementary school. To now put streetlights right behind their homes is something that we're, being very sensitive of. So I know Tim last week was having conversations with York Electric as far as where potential other streetlights could be located on that end. But I know the other end, on the Stonecrest Boulevard end of Hubert Graham Way, does have ample street lighting up to the bridge.
And does that road have sidewalks?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Concrete sidewalks or our type of,
Concrete sidewalks, ADA, they're 5-foot wide sidewalks. I don't recall, it's been a while since I've looked at the plans. I don't know if they're at back edge of curb or if there's a 5-foot planter strip in between the curb and the sidewalk. And the lanes are oversized than your typical widths to allow for on-street bicycle, and realizing that, potentially golf carts, things like that, to where motorists can still get by them without fully having to cross over into the oncoming traffic and whatnot, so.
Item number 7 on the agenda, public comments. Are there any further public comments? Being none, close it down to council comments on item number 8. We'll start with you, Ryan. Any council comments?
Nothing.
Jen?
Yes, Beautification Committee has a meeting on Thursday, October 20th at 1:15 p.m. in the lower level area of the Glennon Center. And we're having a work day this week at 8 a.m. on Wednesday in the Living Memorial Gardens, and no special skills required, but we do need volunteers. November 5th, the Beautification Committee is inviting the community to the gazebo dedication. It begins at 9:30 a.m., which is another reason we're having this work day to spruce stuff up. So, and if you would like to volunteer, you can contact Patty Martin through the city website on the Living Memorial Gardens website page, or send a message through Facebook, and I will get that off to Beautification Committee. And then the other thing is, I just want to thank Joey Blethen and his staff for organizing the pickleball and disc golf clinics. A lot of residents have really been happy about these free clinics that showcase money we've put into sports and things we're putting here, and now they actually know how to use them. My kids went to the disc golf and learned a lot, so thank you.
Good deal. No comments. I only have 2. One, the school board debate for the school board candidates is October 25th over at Nations Ford High School. That's at 7 p.m. And as Charlie mentioned, Election Day is November 8th. If you are so inclined to vote straight line ticket and you just hit a D or an R, so you have the straight line ticket, please understand that that does not cover your school board votes. So you have to go to the end of the screen to make sure that you do actually vote for the school board, because they are nonpartisan. So they will not be covered under your just, I'm voting the straight Republican line or I'm voting the straight Democrat line. You have to go and pick them out to make sure that they do get voted for. And they are just as important to vote for school board elections as well. That's the end of my comments. Item number 9 on the agenda is adjournment. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Ryan Richard, second by David O'Neill. Any council discussion? There being none, call the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. We're adjourned. 6:46.
New record. New record.